Ghost ship, Mary Celeste. Unsolved mystery of the sea's disappearance. Imagine, sailing across the Atlantic Ocean in December 1872. The sea is calm, the air crisp, and everything feels like an ordinary day. But on the horizon, another ship spots something unusual, a vessel drifting silently. Its sails partly torn, but still upright and moving. This ship is the Mary Celeste, and what lies inside will become one of the most baffling mysteries in maritime history. The crew of the Dei Gratia approaches cautiously. At first glance, the Mary Celeste appears seaworthy. There's no smoke, no fire, no visible damage from storms or battles, yet something feels off. They climb aboard, and immediately their suspicions deepen. The deck is wet but intact, the cargo of alcohol barrels untouched, and the captain's log stops abruptly. The lifeboat is missing. But the strangest detail? There is not a single soul on board. No captain, no crew, no passengers, just silence. The Mary Celeste had set sail from New York only weeks earlier, on November 7th, 1872, bound for Genoa, Italy. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their young daughter Sophia, and 7 experienced sailors. All seemed normal when they left port. Captain Briggs was respected, cautious, and deeply religious a man, unlikely to take reckless chances. The ship was newly seaworthy, carrying a bare 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol. Everything should have been routine, but within a month, the Mary Celeste would drift aimlessly, abandoned, and its crew vanished without a trace. This discovery stunned the world. Newspapers called it the ghost ship. The U.S. and British courts investigated, but no crime could be proven. It became a legend of the Sias story that sailors whispered about, a puzzle that historians still try to piece together. But what could have happened? Mutiny, pirates, a deadly storm, or something far stranger, something beyond human explanation. Before we dive into the chilling theories, let's go back to the day the Mary Celeste set sail, and the lives of the people who vanished. Captain Benjamin Briggs was a seasoned sailor with a reputation for discipline and faith. He brought along his wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia. For a family to join such a voyage was unusual at the time, but the Briggs family was close. The crew he hired were trusted, experienced, and skilled. They weren't strangers. These were men capable of handling the dangers of the sea. There was no sign of trouble before departure. The Mary Celeste herself had a complicated past. Built in 1861, she'd already changed names and owners several times. Some sailors believed ships with troubled pasts carried curses, and whispers followed her wherever she docked. But to Captain Briggs, the ship was simply a vessel, a means to carry valuable cargo across the Atlantic. So how did such an ordinary journey turn into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time? Let's step back into the moment of discovery. When the crew of the Dei Gratia searched the Mary Celeste, they found the captain's cabin tidy, with clothes neatly folded. Sarah Briggs's sewing machine was still there. Toys belonging to young Sophia lay in place. The galley, or kitchen, contained enough food for 6 months. Even breakfast items sat on the table, as if abandoned in a hurry. The cargo hold, filled with alcohol barrels, was mostly intact, though a few had leaked. The pumps used to drain seawater were dismantled, and the ship's single lifeboat was gone. This raised more questions than answers. If the Mary Celeste was seaworthy, why would the crew abandon her? Why would an experienced captain risk his family's life on a small lifeboat in the open Atlantic, when their ship was perfectly capable of sailing? The mystery deepened when no bodies were ever found. Despite search efforts, not a single trace of the missing people surfaced. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. Some believed pirates attacked, but the untouched cargo and lack of violence proved otherwise. Others thought mutiny, but no evidence of struggle supported that idea. And so, the ghost ship became a legend. But what really happened on the Mary Celeste? As the investigation into the Mary Celeste began, newspapers across America and Europe seized on the story. Headlines called it the ghost ship of the Atlantic. Readers devoured every rumor, every theory, every shred of speculation. The courts in Gibraltar, where the ship was taken after being found, launched an inquiry. Captain Morehouse of the Dei Gratia and his men, who discovered the vessel, were questioned for weeks. But even after endless testimonies, the facts remained hauntingly simple. A seaworthy ship, abandoned without reason, its people gone. Forensic science as we know it today didn't exist in 1872. Investigators had only their instincts and the testimony of sailors. They examined the sails and ropes. They noted that the main hatch cover was secure, though some smaller hatches were left open. They checked the compass, the ship's wheel, and the captain's logbook. The last entry was dated 10 days before the ship was found, on November 25th, when everything appeared normal. No storm was recorded. No note of fear or trouble, just the routine words of a careful captain. And yet, something had driven everyone from that ship. Something powerful enough to make a seasoned sailor, a protective father, and an entire crew abandon safety and plunge into the Atlantic in a single small lifeboat. One of the strangest details was the alcohol cargo. 9 barrels were found empty, though not broken, simply leaked from poor construction. This seemed minor, but some suggested that fumes from the alcohol might have terrified the crew. Imagine being trapped in a wooden ship with strong chemical vapors, unsure if an explosion could happen at any moment. Could Captain Briggs have ordered everyone into the lifeboat as a temporary safety measure, only for disaster to strike when they drifted away? Others argued the pumps offered clues. The ship's pumps, which helped clear water from the hold, had been dismantled. Some speculated the captain believed the ship was taking on too much water. But records showed the hull was mostly dry. Was it a mistake? Or was Briggs tricked by faulty equipment into believing his ship was sinking? As the investigation dragged on, theories multiplied. Some whispered of mutiny. Could the crew have risen up against the captain, only to meet their own doom later? But the ship bore no scars of violence, no blood, no broken weapons, no signs of struggle. Even valuables remained untouched. Mutiny seemed unlikely. Then came the pirate theory. The 1870s still saw pirate activity in certain waters. But again, why would pirates leave the cargo, the personal belongings, and even money untouched? Pirates attacked for gain, and here there was nothing missing except the people. There were also darker suggestions, staleys of sea monsters, ghostly apparitions, or even alien abductions. Sailors, known for their superstitions, whispered about cursed ships and restless spirits. The Mary Celeste had changed owners multiple times and had a reputation for bad luck. Was it doomed from the start? But for all the wild speculation, the most terrifying part was the silence. No message in a bottle. No lifeboat discovered. No bodies washed ashore. It was as though the Atlantic had swallowed them whole. The public imagination was hooked. Writers spun tales about the Mary Celeste, blending fact and fiction. Decades later, even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, wrote a short story inspired by the case. His version suggested a blood-soaked murder at sea, completely fictional, but so gripping that many readers believed it to be true. The legend grew larger than the facts, and yet, beneath the legend lies something more unsettling. The real people. Captain Briggs, his wife Sarah, their daughter Sophia. These weren't characters in a story. They were a family, flesh and blood, with dreams and hopes, suddenly erased from history. The crew, too, hard-working sailors, simply vanished. Their loved ones waited for news that never came. Letters went unanswered. Empty chairs stayed at family tables. For them, the Mary Celeste was not a ghost story, but a wound that never healed. The evidence told part of the story, but the unanswered questions made it immortal. What would drive an entire crew to abandon a safe ship? Why risk everything in a lifeboat? And why, after 150 years, has no trace of them ever been found? The more you look at the Mary Celeste, the more unsettling it becomes. Because if such a thing could happen once, it could happen again. The ocean, vast and unforgiving, keeps its secrets well. Let's explore the most enduring theories each. One fascinating, each one incomplete. The alcohol explosion theory. Some experts believe that fumes from the leaking alcohol barrels filled the hold. Alcohol vapor is highly flammable. If the crew smelled fumes, they may have feared an explosion. Perhaps Captain Briggs ordered everyone onto the lifeboat, tethered by a rope, intending to return once it was safe. A sudden gust of wind, a snapped rope, or rising seas could have separated them forever, leaving the Mary Celeste to drift alone. The storm or waterspout theory. Others argue that a sudden storm or a rare waterspouter tornado over the sea terrified the crew. The violent winds could have damaged sails, drenched the deck, and convinced the captain the ship was sinking. But storms usually leave more visible damage, and the Mary Celeste showed little sign of disaster. The piracy theory. A popular idea at the time was pirates, but the untouched cargo and belongings make this unlikely. Why would pirates take people but leave money, food, and goods behind? Unless, of course, their motive was not wealth, but something more sinister. The mutiny theory. Mutiny always haunts stories of the sea, but the crew were trusted, loyal men with no reason to rise up. Besides, a mutiny usually ends in blood, broken locks, or stolen valuables. Here, everything was strangely peaceful, as if the people had simply walked away. The sickwake theory. Some scientists have suggested an undersea earthquake, shaking the vessel violently, could have made the crew fear sinking. Such a quake might even release gases that caused panic. But again, the ship remained afloat, calm, and undamaged. The paranormal theories. Then there are the more chilling, unexplainable theories. Some whispered that the Mary Celeste was cursed. Others claim the Bermuda Triangle reached its ghostly hand farther than we realize. And in recent times, people even speculate about alien abductions. None of these theories have evidence, yet the lack of answers leaves the door wide open for imagination. And that's the heart of the mystery. No theory fits perfectly. Each explanation has holes. Each idea unravels under scrutiny. The truth is just beyond our grasp, hidden in the depths of history and the sea. Even the ship itself carried the weight of mystery long after. After being salvaged, the Mary Celeste continued sailing for years, but never escaped her reputation. Sailors believed she was unlucky. Eventually, in 1885, her final captain deliberately wrecked her off the coast of Haiti in an insurance scam. The once mighty vessel ended not with a bang, but a fraud, sinking into obscurity. Yet her legend refused to die. Today, the Mary Celeste remains one of the greatest unsolved maritime mysteries of all time. Historians study her logs, divers search for clues, and storytellers keep her ghost alive. She stands as a reminder that the ocean is bigger than us, all that no matter how advanced we become, the sea will always hold secrets we cannot solve. And so we're left with a question. What really happened to Captain Briggs, his wife and child, and their loyal crew? Did they make a desperate choice that cost them their lives? Or did the Mary Celeste brush against forces we cannot explain? That's where you come in. What do you believe happened aboard the Mary Celeste? Was it fear of an explosion, a freak storm, or something beyond the natural world? Share your theory in the comments side. Love to hear your ideas. And if this story of the ghost ship gripped you, please give this video a like, subscribe for more mysteries of history, and hit the bell so you never miss another chilling story. Share this video with a friend who loves the unexplained, and together, let's keep the mystery alive. Because sometimes, the greatest mysteries are the ones we may never solve.